Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the Draw Juice universe where we get deep into art, portraiture, figure drawing. We grow as a community. It's awesome. I'm grateful to be here and to have this community. And I like to start off with a gratitude list. And those come to mind. This community is awesome, and I'm grateful for it, and the connection that the internet provides for us all across the world. We're like connected, so that's really cool. Yes, I'm getting the signal from my team manager that everything sounds good, looks good. Thank you, team manager. Appreciate that. You're awesome. You're doing a great job. His name is Nick, and he is a wonderful person. I'm grateful for Nick because going live is a tricky business, and things can go wrong. And I see people here in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know what's going on. Sampico, my friends. Zoran, what's going on? It's working. Thank you, guys. Man, I think I have all my technical things figured out. I've had some things with the microphone, echo, the stream, and I think it's, getting ironed out. Thanks to Nick. Who else is here? There's Nick. There's Nick right there. Mimika's here. Hey, Mimika. What's happening? We're connected. Yes. And so I'll just wait for CF Paintings is here. You can hear me. That's perfect. Natish, how you doing? Nice to see you. David Stucco, what's happening? Excellent. Well, I guess we can get started here. Pretty soon here. Let me know in the chat what you guys are grateful for. Health, wealth, anything. Okay, that'd be cool. And I'd like to know what you guys are grateful for sure. So let's kind of jump in here. Let's switch over here. So, a little quote, a little inspirational quote. Those who guard their mouths and their tongues keep themselves from calamity. Now, I love this one. We're going to talk about the mouth today, drawing the mouth. And so I thought this quote was really appropriate. But this one is just so pragmatic and so clear. And I want to keep myself from calamity. I think you do too, probably. And this thing just says it straight up, guard your mouth, guard your heart and your mouth and what comes out, and you'll keep yourself from calamity. Now, this is from an ancient text. I'm not going to say which one, but there is another one that says something about gossip and how conflict just goes away if you don't gossip about it. It just dies down, right? And so it protects you from strife in your relationships. That's really cool stuff, because I'm tempted many times just to talk and speak negatively, and probably many people are. The tongue is the hardest thing to tame, and I don't think actually can be tamed, but we can try. All right. So yeah, Nick is grateful for health, family, and friends. David is grateful for God and his mercy. Yeah, totally, absolutely. You said it. So let's jump into this mouth thing here. You guys keep telling me about your gratitude list in the chat. I want to come back to that. And let's break down the mouth in terms of some simple parts that I think are important, and then we'll look at them on the actual model. So here we have the tooth cylinder, right? And that is that cylinder that's partially submerged underneath the structure of the skull, and it sort of comes out, and that's where the mouth is situated and built upon, right? So I'm just giving this shading because the sides turn down, so we have to remember that the mouth wraps around this. It's wrapping around that, and that's really important. And then moving to the right, we have the nasolabial folds, right? And those come here from the nasal to the labial down here to the mouth, right? Some have it more, some have it less, but it's this fold of skin. You can call it the laugh lines too. When you laugh, they're there. That's the inside. Okay, so this is the medial border of the nasolabial fold, and this is the lateral border. And then moving next, we have the philtrum right here. And that's an awesome thing that connects the nose to the mouth. And then we have the characteristic red muscle portion of the lips. And it looks like a mountain with two pillows under it, or a bird flying with a nest, a bird sitting on a nest. Something like that. Looks like the Golden Gate Bridge. I don't know. Anything that it looks like to you to help you remember is fair game. And then we have the W, the modified W right here underneath. And then to the right we have the mascular nodes. Okay, so let's look at that on the model. And particularly on men, you can find lots of these structure because they've got, you know, wrinkles, they've got edges, and the more stuff you show, the more structure, the more masculine or manly or old it's gonna look. So if we look here, we're gonna see tooth cylinder, right? And then look at, he's got the laugh lines. That's this stuff here, right? And it wraps around the tooth cylinder and extends up to that side plane of the nose. Here's the side plane, right? So it's up into there, wraps all the way around, and then provides a place for the chin to fit in too. So this stuff wraps all the way around and borders on the chin. Some people have it more, some people have it less. Sometimes it's real fleshy, sometimes you don't see it at all. Okay, then we have the we have the philtrum. Okay, so that connects the septum of the nose to the top wing of the lips, the top lip. Okay, so that's that. Very cool. You need that. I'm going to show you why. Let me just color this in here. Nasolabial fold, laugh lines, however you can remember it. Wraps around. Okay. What else do we have? Then we have the, the red lip portion. Everybody knows that. But this is like just part of what makes lips, successful in a drawing. Everybody knows this. Okay. But there's a lot more to it. And then we have the modified W area, which is under here. And it's that area between the top of the chin and the bottom of the bottom lip. And then we got the mascular nodes. So if we draw those in, those are pretty cool. They're here. They're just these little bits of skin, and where muscles attach, you know, they come in here and attach here. Okay. And so you see these, you'll see these more or less on different people too. So that's that. So that's kind of the anatomy of the mouth and stuff. Hey, Michael. Welcome. These little mascular nodes, every part of this anatomy of the mouth, really helpful stuff, because it's not just this, it's all these other things too that make it really work. So let me see here. If I'm going to draw a mouth, I'm going to give you my secret hacks. Let's do it. Well, if I'm going to draw a mouth, I want to prove to you that I could draw any opening, and make it look like a mouth. That one kind of looks like this one. What else? If you do certain things to it, it'll look like a mouth. So how do we do that? Okay, well, we've got to connect it to the nose. So we have to put a philtrum on it. And we need, oh, I forgot one thing. It's this thing. This is the tubercle, and it goes right here. If you put a philtrum and a tubercle on almost anything, it's going to look like a mouth. Okay, so here's my little bands that wrap around. If I put a tubercle on that thing and it's connected to a philtrum, right, and then it wraps around. Okay, and then on the bottom we have this. So you have this kind of letter Y right there, and it's just a tube, right? So it's this tube, and it overlaps another tube on the far side. So you've got kind of a tube here, or band, and a tube on the bottom. Put a philtrum on it, and then you've got to connect the nose, right? So put a nose there. And you need some teeth. So the teeth are just going to show just a little bit, right? And they can show just popping out, just like that, and then a tongue. And if I darken up this area here, put it in shadow, then it's going to look like a mouth, kind of a cartoon mouth. Right, there's a lot of shadow between the lips and the teeth. Okay, and then there's this back here. All right, so we transform that thing, that opening, into something that looks, you know, mouth-like. Add a mascular node, or add like a laugh line. And I think you get the picture. All right, let's do it. Let's do it tonight. I need some more interesting openings. This one obviously. That's really cartoony. It's almost like a hippo. You're going to have the uvula back there, a tongue, and all that stuff. So right, let's put a very tight kind of Cupid's bow there. Philtrum, right? Starts looking like lips, starts looking like a mouth. So if you're just trying to draw a mouth with teeth, you know, it's gonna not look that good, right? You need a few more connecting parts. Put a nose. You guys know Loish? She draws noses like this. I think you guys know Loish. And then of course if I colored it in, you know, put all this stuff back in the background, it'd look more like teeth. That's a guy yelling really loud. Okay, so let's see here. Let's take this out. So we need another kind of opening here. How about that? Can I make that into? All right. Well, I got to put a Philtrum on it. Where am I going to put this Philtrum? Right, so those are the teeth. And when you draw the teeth, don't draw each individual one because they attract attention. So you'll want to kind of just maybe just draw the gum line like this, a hint of that, and then a couple of separations of teeth. But don't draw it all the way to the top. That seems to get the job done. You can do it down here. And let's see, there's a lower lip, upper lip. Where am I going to put that? I'm running out of some space. Maybe here. Connected to the nose. Okay. Tongue. And I didn't put a tubercle yet, so let's put that in there because that always looks good. And then it overlaps kind of. Okay, so that's my like I said, we can make anything, any opening, and that's pretty cool. So you don't have to worry about the mouth too much. Right, if I have a simple opening like this, you know, put a tubercle on it. Get the lower. And then put the teeth in. I mean, you don't even have to show both sets of teeth. You can just show the upper and really not the lower at all. Do a Philtrum. skin. And that's pretty fun. There's some back molar wrapping around a little bit. So you should practice that for yourself and get a handle on just how easy the mouth can be when it's connected. So that's my point, I think, is that if everything's connected, it tends to look better than if I just try to draw lips like everybody, the beginners, do this. Right? We've all done that. We've all seen that. Don't do this one. Okay? Because you put a hard outline around it. What I'd encourage you to do rather is just to kind of take, certain parts, like the terminus of the lips, the middle part, the tubercle. Those parts you can give a darker accent, because they're like the occlusion shadows where nothing kind of fits in, or no light gets in there. And then this stuff can sometimes be either very apparent or not, right? The red lip portion of the upper lip and the lower lip, they can just fade away into, this upper plane, depending on the lighting, depending on the bone structure of a person. So, or it can be really apparent. This can be more pillowy or less pillowy. That can go this way. And then that little overlap of the Cupid's bow of the tubercle. Right, so there's a little opportunity for an occlusion shadow there, a dark accent. And then if I just, if I wanted to modify some of this stuff, it could just be like a wisp, You might find that more on little kids, on women, where things just kind of disappear and they're not so hard-edged, outlined. And if I connect it, everything connected to everything else. And then that modified W. So this area between where the chin, rhythm of the chin is, this is kind of an interesting thing. So I've got like this icon over here, like this modified W. Let's explain that just a little bit more. So this stuff is really all one. From the bottom lip out onto the skin. It's kind of, it's really kind of convex. And, if we're thinking like this, everything's so separate, we're going to miss the subtlety of what's in here. And this goes into shadow a little bit. So we can push that down. Usually that's a very tight space and in shadow, but it rolls, so you'd put the shadow in a certain spot because it's rolling away from the light. So it's gonna be this kind of fuller, depending on who it is, this opportunity for fullness to describe structure there. So think about that. If you want to make an angry face, angry lips, angry mouth, then we can just do tooth cylinder. You know, the nose is going to come in here somewhere. Mouth is going to wrap around. Chin is going to intrude on that. But you're going to have these muscles pulling down, these depressor anguli and mentalis right here, pressing, pulling down. So that's going to cause these nasolabial fold to really show up and come really tight around the chin. And then the terminus of the lips, usually they're here, but they're going to be pulled down. So I'm going to bring it down and just make an arc like this. Not much upper lip because it's really tight and stretched. So I'll put like a hint of a tubercle there. And then you're going to kind of have this for that lower lip. Kind of gets really stretched and pulled. And then you've got your teeth in here. This is the part that makes it look angry, is they're clenched. All right, show the upper and lower just clenched together. And you can make them a little bit jaggy because that shape language is angry. The triangle. Right, I can show a little bit of just a little bit of gum line here. Maybe a little bit there. And I might not make the line all the way across, but you could. I think I learned my angry mouth drawings from Neil Adams. Everything I know about angry mouth drawings is Neil Adams and John Buscema when they did Conan comic books. Notice the space on either side of the mouth, of the teeth. That's really key here. And then we've got a little drop shadow from the upper lip onto the teeth. And maybe here. And the teeth are wrapping around like a tooth cylinder, right? So I'm going to go ahead and give that a modeling tone. Push those back in space. Right, so that's kind of like your little angry, how to draw an angry mouth. So you could keep going on this. You get the modified W, so that gets really tight in there. And if you put some stubble on it, you'll know it's a Conan the Barbarian type. Anyway, fun stuff. And then if you want to draw somebody laughing, right? Let's look at some laughing reference, because this is good to always do these, look from reference and then do some studies to understand the structure of stuff. Now notice there's a lot of room here. And let me get this little desk scribble thing. Okay, there's a lot of space right here, right? And then you don't see much of the lower teeth. They just pop out a little bit, but you're really seeing, because of the angle, this. And notice too how the sort of gesture of this, where it hits the lower lip, right? Let's look at another one here. Same thing, look at that, where the teeth meet the lower lip. They're not meeting exactly here. They're meeting lower than that. Okay, then you have this space here. You got this space here as the teeth wrap and go inside. So doing these little studies and kind of analyzing this stuff and how it actually looks. So, you know, if you're doing somebody smiling, you know, their teeth they're not going here exactly like that. They're sort of actually going like that, because the outside part of the lips, they go up when you smile. They go up, and your teeth, they don't move. So they kind of hit the lips in a place you wouldn't expect. Right? They kind of run into right here on the lower lip. And then you can make some kind of interesting stuff like that. Right? So you have something like that. And you might see a little part of those the lower teeth. I hope I'm talking loud enough. Put a little tubercle, a little philtrum, and then you've got a hint of the tongue back there. And you have to put in these little triangles here. That really helps. Like if you just wanted to do this, let's see. Like just a really big smile. And you fill up that whole front with just teeth right here. Then just make these little triangles at the terminus area. There's like that space between where the skin stops and the teeth starts. And that does a lot. This is like a really big smile. Put a little mascular node there. Little hint of a tubercle, lower lip. Ching, right? There's like a specular highlight there. Okay, so that's kind of it on my tips and tricks for the mouth, I think, because you know the mouth's not that hard. You know, if you draw any opening and then you put some of these things on it that I'm talking about, you'll be able to transform any opening into a mouth. I'm telling you. And you gotta put that nose there, give it context. And it's good for cartooning and stuff. So try it out and see if you can do it as well. Okay. All right, so let's go into the critique section. Are you guys ready? Let's check the chat. Oh. Thanks, Michael. Very good, very good. Yeah. All right, so we've got this very stylized portrait here. And, you know, one thing about stylization, I love the freedom of it that you're doing. But it can get a little carried away, you know? Like, we got to make sure that we have our shapes, our values, our edges, our forms being described clearly, proportions, and then we can go crazy with the flourishes and the bravado and the confident strokes, because we've kind of set things up. You know, so that's 4, 5, 6 things that you have to juggle in the air before you can add that one, right? So proportion could go off a little bit. And so we just want to be careful about that. So I think it's a nice job for the lighting. I want to give you approved for lighting, okay? The form, pretty good. I like the form, approved. The parts look good. That nose looks very pretty. It's connected to the mouth. The nose is connected to the forehead and stuff. I'm missing a plane here a little bit. You know, where it's starting to go, you know, since it's the same value, it flattens out, right? Because if I have something like this, you know, you might know because of the shape that it's a corner, but you can't really tell yet, right? It's flat. So what you have here is the same value, and so it's flattened out, right? Because you have two values and they're facing the light in the same direction, so they're getting the same amount of light. So what you need to do to describe that is to give us another value. So you have different value is a different plane, same value, same plane. So now you have, instead of this, you know, you have this, or instead of this, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing, this, you have this, like you have a corner. So instead of it flattened out, you have something like that. So adding that information in terms of the value and its relationship to the planes and how it describes form is really important. And so you see that highlight on the model, and that's where the edge is, right here. You see there's a corner here coming through. And sometimes you'll see it as a core shadow. Sometimes you'll just see it as a highlight. It's telling you where that is. And so you could be a little more specific, you know, a little more, let's say, obvious of where that is. And that could help. So what I do is I put on the values just hard edged and flat and graphic, and then I adjust the edges later. There's that nasolabial fold right there. You can see it right there. There's a hint of that, right? And then you have that little mascular node thing, which is right here. And so I don't see it, but it's that little pouty little thing where the lip turns under, and then there's something else there. Right, so the lip is wrapping around, that upper lip is wrapping around the two cylinders, so it gets dark as it goes towards the terminus of the lips. And then depending, if there's who it is, you're going to see that mascular node more or less. So I'm just I don't see it too much on her, so I don't want to overstate it. So everything on the women is very subtle. And so you have this side plane of the cheek is a little darker than this place where the highlight is. And that starts to give it that front cheek, side plane cheek. And so there's that modified W a little bit. You did a nice job describing the front plane of the chin as opposed to the side plane of the chin. So that's pretty neat. So there's a little more setup that you could do to this thing. So we have several different things to look at. We can look at the beautiful anatomy, lighting, person right in front of us that you're conceiving on a flat 2D surface, which is totally amazing. And then you've got, different levels, and you have the textures, you have the realism of the planes and values, and then you can have your beautiful brush strokes that are leading us around the piece, kind of this way around like that, or leading us into the face, right? They could be doing a job leading us in to look at her eyes. So you could organize the chaos in a certain radial kind of way, right? And so you've got a nice thought going there for this. And so you could take it further. And I think I would encourage you to maybe take it further. Because I think it's close to something you could call, call done. You could put it in your portfolio or put it online or something like that. I just wanted to kind of get her head to be a little more filled out, because it looked like there was a gap there and we didn't see her cranium. I just wanted to have that. Let's see. Okay, so there's a lot here, so I'm going to move on to the next one. So great job, whoever you are. Sampico, was that you? I don't know. Okay. Next one, Andre. Hey, Andre, how you doing? Okay. So let's see, difficult lighting, difficult photo because it's diffuse light, it's backlight, and there's kind of a light coming from camera left, slightly above. So this is a difficult one to do. And so the first thing it's important to get is is the attitude. And I'm on the wrong layer here. So what I mean by that is the gesture of the head is this attitude, right? If I kind of miss that and I draw it like this, like neutral instead of that, we're going to miss an important part of this person's body language, the personality, the story they're projecting from their face, which is what we do all the time to let people know how we feel and think and what's going on interacting with relationships. And so that tilt of her head and looking slightly chin back, head up, and tilt, that's giving us certain cues about what she's thinking. So that's the first thing. And maybe the second thing is like the head type. So I'm going to build around that gesture. And she has really an oval head. So that'll get me there. If I start with the oval head, I might miss the gesture and sort of straighten it up, right? So always try to put that gesture line. Now that's not the center line. Don't get fooled, right? Because we might put her features more center when they're really off center and kind of 3/4. So now I'm going to put the real center line of her face. Super important. Okay. So this one is like an axis going through from the top to the bottom, but the center line is different than that. Okay. And then, I can get just an idea of the neck, sense of the collarbone. Okay. So from here, I'm going to wrap around, right? I'm going to do all this lightly. Like the eyes are, since we're looking up, the eyes are going to crowd the top of the head, right? When I look up, my eyes are going to get closer and closer to the top of my head, so they crowd it out until you can't see the top. You just see my eyes up there, and vice versa. The eyes will crowd out the chin. So I'm going to raise my eye line up a little bit past halfway. Halfway would be here. So I'm going to kind of maybe put something there. The eyes or the eyebrows. But there's a kind of a letter T we want to get. Get that on there. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to draw around like it's glass, so you get the feeling that it's 3D even though it's on a flat 2D surface. Draw like your forms are glass. Draw the other side and people will feel that other side, although they won't be able to see it. Alright, so I'm gonna space and place everything vertically, and then I'll kind of do it laterally. Nose is going to be there, lips are going to be somewhere. I could divide it in half, the bottom of the nose, the bottom of the chin, or I could do it in thirds and fit the mouth in there. Depends on who it is and what their proportions are. And then I want to get let me get the shape of the head a little bit better. So I'm going to add a little bit of cranial mass here. And then just put in the shape of the hair mass, because that has a lot to do with getting a likeness. That's a nice little curves and waves here. I'll just try to keep it simple. Okay. Let me see. There's a side plane. It's going to come into here somewhere. Loomis would do this. He'd just cut off part of it with a knife, and then that would feel very uncomfortable. I don't know if you saw my video on different ways to block in the head, and I did a bit on Loomis. And in his book, they show like a ball and then a knife coming in and slicing off two of the sides, and it just looks like, a little weird for a drawing book to introduce a knife and just slicing something off. But I get the point. Okay, so here's, the eyes are going to be somewhere here. Just going to estimate here. And then if I draw a plumb line down, that's going to give me the terminus of the lips. So the lips won't extend, on average, further than that. And they're going to wrap around the tooth cylinder Right, but she's smiling, so they're curving up a little bit. Right, we have a sense of the philtrum. Nose is here. Just kind of a wedge. And so, I'm just doing my procedure, like slowly. How we kind of do. Right, and there's that keystone right there into the eye socket. We can come around and kind of build that, but I have an inside plane of the nose and it goes into the eye socket. So those are kind of there together. I've got the eyeball. So I'm trying to, think of everything as being, I'm building everything. I'm connecting everything. Thinking about valid architecture, so to speak. Meaning, if I drew a cube, let me see, like this, and I went like this, this wouldn't be valid architecture. If you tried to sit on it, this thing would crumple. You'd fall on the floor. So how do I fix it? Well, I've got to connect these planes so that it's solid and valid. Okay. So that's what I'm thinking about. This is kind of goes up and around. So it looks rather generic and ugly at this point. I forgot to put in this part of her hair. Really, that shape of the hair against the shape of the face does so much to give us the look of somebody. So I'm not trying to go for any finished drawing here. I'm just trying to get it in position so that I can build the next thing, connect everything. And then I kind of, take the eyes and really think about wrapping around this stuff. Making sure we have some asymmetry this way between the upper and lower lid. It's not completely symmetrical like this. This is not how that is. So you kind of want to stagger that. Then check. So you can like draw a little and check, draw a little and check. Get that. She's got lots of upper lid there. Some people you can't see their lids at all, right? And some people you can. Want to line up my tear ducts. And since we're looking up, you can see a little bit of that lower portion of the upper lid, that underside, right? It's like a shelf. And then you see her eyebrows up there somewhere. partially covered by the hair. And so on and so forth. And then you'd look and go, okay, there's always problems, there's always things to adjust. So you just start fixing things. It's never perfect, right? But it gets better over time. And so I like this photo. It's a really cool photo. Even though the lighting is tough, because there's 3 different light sources, and that makes it hard. And then I want to take that chin and kind of shorten it up a little bit. So I think you did a great job on your values. You've got some structure going there, which I think is cool. And it's just getting some of the things to connect and some of the proportions a little stronger. You can see she has that laugh line and that nasolabial fold coming in right into the chin. And of course, I wouldn't overstate that in the final one, but in my blocking, I kind of want to put everything in there. So this is the unseen portrait. This is the portrait that nobody sees. It's the block in. It's really about measuring and spacing and placing and constructing. And so it's not meant to look, you know, beautiful necessarily. Okay. So I'm going to stop there on that one, but nice job. You did a nice job with the eyes and the shading and the lighting. So good job. Approved. Approved. Okay. All right, let's move on to this one. Oh, and it's the same person, so you get 1 each time. Oh, he's got 3. So we'll move on here. I thought we had a bunch of different people. Just submit 1 per week. That's what everybody gets. Okay, so wow. Zoran, wow. Look at this photo. Where's this? Who is this? This is an amazing photo. Such emotion and expression. Yeah, nice job. Look at that decorative work on the patterning on the scarf. It's beautiful. Colored pencil, it looks like. Right? Who is that, Zoran? Okay. Yeah, like it. So let's see. Yeah, it looks 3D. Yeah, great details, great design, great pattern. And I just want to maybe say in the face area, I'm seeing some proportion stuff. Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah. That the face is a little bit square, which I think you've got that, you know, it's sort of a combination of a circle and a square together, or a soft square. Is that you know, kind of what I'm seeing with a circle on top. Maybe that kind of works. You know, so thinking about a head type, it's kind of very square on the bottom and roundish on top. You know, and you got the eyes really good because they're really tilted in a certain orientation. Nose. But there may be a little too much, like I think here, the distance between the eyes and the nose is a little bit long. So if we take this and just kind of go from the outside lateral position of each eye down to the bottom of the nose, and we take that and kind of move it over, we can get a sense that the nose is a little too long, right? A lot of times there's a equilateral triangle in this constellation of the eyes and nose, and then there's another triangle here that we can look for to kind of help position things, you know. And so otherwise it's pretty in the ballpark. The hand looks good. So if I was to just take this for a quick modification, you know, I could maybe just push it up just a little bit. And I hate to do this, your drawing is finished and it's beautiful. So just take this for, you know, a grain of salt, just for future, you know, just for the sake of a critique. You know, just a subtle change like that. You can also kind of do some things over here with some of these settings, like the eye size, eye height, eye width, the nose width. So we could get a little bit more out of the nose, a little bit wider lips, right? And then just accept that. But other than that, it looks great. I think it looks beautiful. On your hand, you can just sort of round it out a little bit, like it's going away from the light. So you can put it a little more in shadow because it's a little flat. And that'll, you know, push that back and not bring attention to it, right? Just quiet that down a little bit. Cool. So I'm curious if this is somebody you know, because this photo is amazing. I just put a little value into the eyes because they're the place of drama, all the emotion. So I'm putting, you know, a little more emphasis there, describing a little bit of form. So fun, right? Isn't portrait drawing just amazing? To try and create the expression of a face. You see that little modified W? Remember I talked about the modified W? It's there. It's just really subtle. Okay? So I want to maybe try to put that in just a little bit. It's the connection. You know, it's a little bit fuller. Cool. So I can't touch this one too much, man. That's a great job. Zoran, approved. There was the girl from the past and study of oil paint. Okay. From the past. I know she's from the past. We'll fix it. Okay, cool. Was this a natural media thing or was this a Photoshop thing? I think it's natural media, right? How long did all that texture stuff take you to do? We're all curious. Okay, what else do we have here? Thank you, Zoran, for that. Oh yeah, this one. This is kind of a little difficult because it's a study of it's a drawing of a drawing. Usually when you do like a drawing of a drawing, you try to reproduce it. And so we have charcoal on the left and we have colored pencil on the right. And so it's a different application, different style. So it's a little hard to compare them. And but you did a very nice job. Very nice job with this difficult head tilted back position. A sense of the lighting, the anatomy, the connection of the parts. And then you put a nice emphasis, all your contrast there in the eyes, so we look there. Everything else is secondary. It's played down. And I think that's really, really cool. Maybe, you know, with this area under the nose, you could sneak in a little bit of shadow there just to design, because it's an underplane. The light's coming from the top, so all the underplanes get dark. And so you're kind of breaking the rules of this world, and it's something I notice. It's something people will notice when you give them a world. You say, this is this world. This is the world you're entering into, and then you kind of break the rules somewhere of it. Then they're kind of confused. Can be confused. So I'm just sneaking in an opportunity to let that nose plane, you know, turn down, and not making too much out of it, but that it, you know, it's there, and it still doesn't take away from the eyes, but it's really adding to it. Just a little bit. And then if you wanted to, you could pull some of the core shadow into here on the far cheek, right? So there's this. Let me add some texture to the brush. Okay, so this, right? That's a core shadow all the way down. If you wanted, you don't have to, but you know, it's going to bring that structure in using these modeling factors. And then since I did that, I have to darken the reflected light a little bit. Right, so the idea that you have a sphere and you have light from the top left, and it's causing this terminator, and that's going to be part of your shadow. It's not the darkest part, but it's a dark part of your shadow. And that sets up the reflected light just to the right of it, and then the projection of the shadow onto the ground plane. which is a similar value to the core shadow. And so that's what makes the structure, that's what makes it look round, is the values and the edges, hard and soft. And then on the light side, you're going to have, you know, a specular highlight and then some halftones. And so that's what kind of just what I was doing over in here, was putting that, some of that in there. But then everything you do, it's going to affect everything else. So just very carefully, you know, putting some stuff in. But that's lovely, lovely drawing, lovely technique. And I like how you did your pencil strokes hatching around to describe the form, like you did here on the side plane of the nose, right here, like you did here, right? You went this way, and you kind of kept working around, you know, describing that form. Good stuff. Excellent. Right, so I'm sure you learned a lot from this. I don't know who did this drawing. I don't know who did either drawing, but anybody in the comments who did this? Oh, that's yours, David? That is yours. I'm thinking you're taking credit for this one. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Russian artist, I'm guessing. Beautiful work. You might want to, just purely subjective here, in the background, you might want to just do a little treatment of a section of it, just so it's, you know, like a little bit here and there, just so it doesn't end awkwardly, but like the dark holds the ear in a little bit. It connects with this part over here, over to here. You know what I mean? It's like connecting. And then there is a shadow here. And that brings a gradient, a gradation, and it quiets the lower right part, so that the upper left, where her face is, gets the attention. And so just subtly putting a little bit of hint of the background, something. That's it. You can choose to do whatever you like with that. I think that's all we got. You're welcome, David. Yeah, so let me know in the comments if that the stuff on the mouth was helpful to you guys, because that's always fun to be able to make up and conceive of, draw from imagination parts of the face, like a mouth, and you think, well, I can only do it closed, or I can only do it, you know, extremely open. But you can actually almost take anything and make it look like a mouth. So that I think that's you know, helpful in terms of your creative drawing. And what else? If you guys haven't, maybe you guys already have, but for future people who want to join in the fun, join in the Facebook group that we have. So I've created a Facebook group for portraiture, and it is really fun group. Okay, it's called Mastering the Art of the Portrait. And you guys can come in. There's over 3,500 students in here doing some great stuff. We're in the middle of a hand challenge right now. So we should have a lot of hands going through, but everybody's really supportive and everybody's really growing. So the link is in the description. If you want to learn drawing portraits, there's a link to my course online. Or go to the website, sign up for the newsletter, get on my mailing list, and you'll get tips and tricks and announcements of events and when I'm going live. And you can get all my favorite materials too there. My favorite charcoal, pencils, erasers, sharpeners, paper, all that stuff. So, yeah, and if you wouldn't mind, give the video a little comment to help push it out there, like and subscribe. And I think we're about winding down here. Let me see. Where are you guys? Where am I? I lost my place. Oh, here. See me check the chat. Okay, everybody, Zoran, Zampico, Mimika, thank you guys for coming by. It was awesome. Again, leave some comments down below. Hey, Jessica, I saw you were there. That'll kind of really help support the channel and support the video itself. And if that's it, then we'll call it. Okay? No other questions or anything. All right, guys, had such a fun time. Great to see you again. We'll see you next week. And I think I got all my technical stuff together, so we should be on. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna end the stream now. Okay. See you guys later. Bye.